Well, things change in a second. I just had an aha moment. I was talking to my friend Nick, and he's in Syracuse in a junkyard getting me parts. And I said, I'm trying to take this door handle off and I can't get it off. And I said, I gotta go. So I went to close the door and the trim piece is gone. And here it is. When I undid that latch locking gizmo from the back, off came the trim piece, which is held on with a sliding lock. And lo and behold, I think I've made some progress here. That goes on like that. And behind it is the rotted gasket that they highly recommend changing. They say it's very easy to change. What they don't tell you is you got to take off the door panel to change it. Well, I got the door panel off, and I got the trim piece off, and my gasket just fell apart into multiple little hard pieces. Reminds me of the rubber seals in my Super Jetaway 300 transmission to my Skylark 30-something years ago, 1982, 35 years ago. Anyways, I had that one rebuilt instead of putting in a Turbo 400, but it's gone, so. Anyways, back to this. That's how you get the door handle off. Behind the trim piece, which you have a slide lock on the inside to remove, held on with a bar, boy. There's the bolt that holds on the latch assembly with all the gizmo. But the door lock is held on with what looks like a GM antenna nut that you need a pair of needle nose pliers that you put on like this, and then they let go and you scratch the door. There's probably a special tool for this, but you don't really need it. You just use a hammer and chisel. I'm really good at that. And my lock was a little loose. See, I was able to get a little turn out of it. So what happened was, I just adjusted my lock solenoid gizmo all the way to the far end. But, watch this. Close the door, and it's locked. I think what happened here is I wasn't able to turn my, look at that. Yeah, come on, focus. I think what happened was when I sprayed silicone in my lock, it wouldn't turn all the way, and now it all of a sudden turns right to 90 degrees. And there's a lot of stuff that this lock does when you turn it to here, or to there. And one of the things it does do is lock when you turn it all the way to the end. When I sprayed that silicone in, for some reason, both of them, both front doors, stopped locking manually, we'll call it. But look now. Unlock. Lock. Uh-oh. So much for that. Come on. Lock. Lock. Unlock. Power lock locks the other ones, doesn't lock this one. Go further and it locks this one. Now what was happening before is if I would jiggle it, it would lock it, and you just jiggle it and the button would pop up. Kind of like when the guy from AAA is trying to unlock your doors. He's got the Slim Jim down there, and he eventually gets that rod to move, rips apart all your insulation and your wires for your power lock crap. That's why now they use that inflatable bag here that moves the door away, and they go for the lock button on the inside, but this one's over here and it's hard to grip. Not much of a head on that. What I did notice is someone's already been in here once before because the rubber around the door is a little chopped up. Maybe I'll have my buddy in the junkyard, Nick, get that for me. So, all my hard work, 3 videos, because I haven't got the time or the patience to knit these things together like I used to do with my camera and the computer. Unlock, lock, right to the end. I'm going to remove this lock, I think. Maybe not. Whoop, it's locked. I'll unlock it. Whoop. I don't believe it. Oh, it's like driving a $1,200 BMW, towing a $1,300 Corvair back across the country. Where's that lock? I don't think that lock's going to remove so easily. I don't know if I want to remove that lock. Maybe I'll just spray it, a full can of degreaser inside it. Because I think if I unscrew that, I'm going to end up with a lock in my hand. Oh boy, what am I doing? I hate taking things apart. How do you like that? Held on from the front with a windshield, or not a windshield, but an antenna nut. Now what happens on the back side, let's turn on the lamp and see Oh, I got the camera the wrong way. I don't know if I want to take this thing apart. I think I'm better off just spraying it. Well, there's a washer behind there too. If I had the phone the other way, I'd be able to stick the light, because the lens on this phone is on the wrong side. I'd be able to stick it in the door unless I flip it upside down. I wonder what happens when you flip it upside down. Does YouTube correct it automatically? I'm not sure I want to remove this. I may be opening up a bigger can of Cling Peaches and extra thick syrup. I just went to the doctor this morning and got the results of my blood test. My blood is red. I'm not royalty, but my cholesterol is 118. He said that's low. My blood pressure, 95/58. That's low. But low is good. People don't die from low cholesterol or low blood pressure because I don't eat the salty pretzels. Look at that. Huh. All it was the lock wasn't turning because of the goop inside the cylinder. I've had locksmiths take locks apart in the past and find belly button fuzz in them. And come on, focus. Nasty. I'm going to spray, and I think I've solved the problem. Look at that. Did a ton more work than necessary, but now I can lubricate my window tracks, and I know what's inside now. And I don't know why I've got that adjustment all the way at the extreme. What if I back it to where it was, which I think, look at that, it works just by moving it. It was kind of, sort of over there. Let's see if going back to where it was, and it showed no signs of ever having been taken apart before. Lock? Well, barely locked. Yes, it is locked. Unlock. Lock. I think I like it better at the end or further down the adjustment range. Even though it seemed to have been working well before and didn't show any signs of having been tinkered with or tampered with, which is hard to believe. This complicated car never ever been taken apart before. The door panel had no broken clips whatsoever. And the armrest clip, you're supposed to lift the door panel up, but I just unbolted it from underneath. A bit more complicated, but less risk of breaking parts. Yeah, I like that better. I don't feel the lock mechanism or the latch mechanism almost catching or just missing. Look at that. It even locks the trunk. You unlock it, and it even unlocks the trunk. Uh-oh. I think I unlocked it. Oh, look at that. Now it's locking by itself. After you do it a few times, it stops working. I'm going to stick with Corvairs. Nope. Now I can't get in. Somebody said there's a way you hold the key all the way at the end when your battery's dead and you lift up the lever with the key turned. That doesn't work. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, look at that. It just popped open. Oh, my goodness. So now my trunk should be open. I'm going to be ordering some trunk struts. These are weak. And the trunk light does not go out unless the trunk lid is locked shut. There's the button right there. So if you leave the trunk lid down like this, the light is on. You can tell because you can see it through the license plate lens. Look at that. Where is it? See? Now it's pushed down, it's closed, lifted a fraction. Not reliable. Not reliable. 750 IL V12 over freaking complicated. Oh. Do I need anything at the junkyard, my buddy? How's my seats looking? They don't look too bad. Sweet Project Cars does some leather reconditioning. I don't know. I don't know why they have seat covers. I'll just go back to the... Uh-oh. Crack. That's the only piece I ever noticed that was damaged. You couldn't see it with the seat covers in place. Smash. Seat cover kind of closed. Covered it over. There's all my parts. I didn't bust my power mirror switch. I disconnected it from the back. Let me tell you. They say just pull the power mirror switch out from the front. No way. That thing is tucked into the leather. That is not coming out. I tried. So what I did was I went from behind and I wiggled and jiggled and I was able to remove the plug from behind, but it's not easy. I could have cut the wires and they should have a connector, but I'm not sure what they were thinking when they made that, but it does not come apart easily. Unlock. Oh, that's locked. Locked. Unlock. Whee! All fixed. Next on the list, intake manifold gaskets. The guys in the forum are saying when it runs really rough, this thing just cranked up, and let me tell you, she runs rough when she's cold. They said when it runs really rough, cold, it's because your intake manifold gaskets, which are $600. 4 sets, $200 each, or 3 sets? 3 sets? Listen to this baby rock and roll when she's cold. Bring her up! I just ordered a spare alternator and starter from a friend of a friend who runs a very big rebuilding shop. So I'll have those next month when I go visit him at the barbecue. Once she's warm, she runs smooth as silk, but this is terrible. Backfires and sputters, and intake manifold gaskets are $600. So what you do is you take the whole intake manifold apart, change the valve cover gaskets, which is what could be leaking, and you silicone the intake manifold gaskets with $5 worth of RTV, room temperature vulcanizing, and hopefully this rock and roll hoochie coo stops. Oh, here we go. Mr. Nick, I need those nuts. I could just use some pal nuts on that, or maybe I'll drill it and put a clip on that. Rattle, rattle, rattle. What else do I need? Listen to it. Bucking and booking. Everything else seems good to go here. I think I might have a light head gasket leak because my coolant was down a little bit, and I filled it up with 2/3 of a gallon, and my coolant seems to be down a bit. This thing steams all the time. I think I might have a head gasket problem. I don't think it's a common problem on these 6s or V12s. I also need a wrench to get that fan off if I'm going to be doing my alternator. I think the fan has to come off to get to the alternator and the idlers. I'm going to put 2 new idlers on. I'm going to buy them. They're $60 each from FCP Euro. Oh, just smoothed out. $60 each, or $38 at Rock Auto, but there's $13 shipping. Usually Rock Auto is reasonable in the shipping, but not for the idlers. But I'm going to change them. They're quiet, but when they blow up, like it did on the Mercedes last year on the way to New York City, just seized right up. Check this out. It's seized up right here. Easy to get to, or is it over here? It's seized up and it chucked chunks of the belt off, and luckily I caught it. And the belt was actually still good, but I was able to get a new idler. It's $120 something idler tensioner, when all it needed was a new bearing on the inside. And it's a GM part number, if you can believe it. Yep, GM part number on a Mercedes, but not much I could do when you're stuck on the side of the highway. So I paid the $130 and I was back on my way, made it to New York City to the event that I was scheduled to go to. Luckily we left early. See how nice that runs once it's warmed up? Hard to believe that intake manifold gaskets would seal themselves so effectively just by running for a minute. Runs really well. Must have been well maintained. Could have had a lot of factory service at one point. Alrighty. I can turn that off. There's my steam. This thing always steams. Maybe I'll do a pressure test and blow the head gasket. Even worse. Maybe I'll do my nanotechnology. Is it CRC makes the nanotechnology head gasket sealer? You drain the system, flush it, drain it, let it dry, put the sealer in, run it, turn it off, put your antifreeze back in, and if I do have a minor head gasket problem, it'll seal it. It'll solve the problem like it did on the Turbo Weasel. Alrighty, this is my new shop. I'm gonna set up shop in my new shop and maybe get rid of the Corvair, send it off to Toronto, and get the check engine light off on the Mercedes, because you know what happens when you have nice surfaces to put things on. You pile things up, and take the Buick and the Pontiac, and I'm going to get the motor for the 6.5 this weekend. Yep, bought a parts truck in southern New Hampshire. Off we go. Trailer time on the Suburban Old Reliable.